With our beautiful nature, stunning ocean, and warm, friendly people, we have access to some unbelievable experiences. You may want to buckle up for this next story. We are going on an adventure. What do you want for your birthday? How about a ride in a 1930s biplane that has been re-engineered for modern-day joyrides? You might not think that would be an option on Saipan, but it is, and it's less than a flight to Guam, much less. These days, we usually think about flying for transportation, but think about how awesome it is to just fly. And think about what it's like to fly above a beautiful place like Saipan with no top. I mean, you should wear a top, but the plane doesn't have one.
This is WACO 148 Romeo Victor, or we also call it Ralphie.
Nick Kelly has a cool job and very cool hair. He drives this biplane for a living. His work-life balance going just fine.
It's a joy to fly. Not many people get to fly this type of aircraft.
WACO comes from the Weaver Aircraft Company of Ohio. Ohio has some aviation chops. That's where the Wright brothers worked as bicycle mechanics while they tinkered with flying machines. This aircraft design dates back to the 1930s.
It's got a 7-cylinder radial engine made by the Jacobs Corporation. It's actually from the 1930s, and the plane was built around that back in 2017.
The prop is made out of wood and requires a little pre-game routine.
We have to spin it before we fly it to let the oil circulate through the engine.
Aircraft has a couple of updates from its 1930s design, and Nick says that's because landing these days is a little different.
The original aircraft would have sat a little bit higher up in the front and a little lower in the back. And that's because back in the 30s they would land in fields, always into the wind. And so now in 2023, runways are pretty much everywhere, so you have to account for crosswind.
John Stewart and his wife Paula first came to the Marianas in 1995 and started the skydiving business, first in Saipan and then in Guam. They have since branched out into a number of forms of aviation services, and this biplane definitely is the most colorful in their hangar.
It's all good. I mean, the airplane, it's open cockpit, so you've got the feeling of freedom. The views are unlimited. You can look all the way around and everything. You know, the wings are in the way, but not for long. You're sort of part of it in a way. It's not like you're flying yourself, but the views are incredible. The feeling's good. The sound of the aircraft is good. It's, I mean, you can't beat it. You got to do it.
On the manifest today, a couple of doctors who are longtime Saipan residents, Tony and his wife Janet. Tony celebrating his 70th birthday from above Saipan.
I know that this is going to be really exciting. I don't know much. I just found out the pilot's going to be sitting behind us, not in front. I'm really excited.
The Stearns are in boarding group 1. Goggles, check. Smiles, check. Nick jumps in, and it's time for a taxi and takeoff. And then it's the island of Saipan, ahead and behind and below. The WACO takes off from runway 7, heads north, captain with the flight plan.
We'll cruise out at Lau Lau Bay, go around to Forbidden Island, check out the beaches in Cagman, Tank Beach, Marine Beach, cruise up the east side, go all the way up to the radar tower, come down to Bird Island, swing across to Suicide. On the west side, we'll cruise down to the lagoon, see all the hotels, make our way out to Managaha, do a circle around it, and then keep cruising down south the west side of the island till we get to PIC, and then round trip back here.
79 years ago on this day in Saipan, June 15th, 1944, the beginning of the Battle of Saipan. These West Coast beaches were invasion beaches, and no doubt we all feel lucky that the island's beauty also comes with relative peace these days. The WACO flies at about 1,000 feet above sea level and around 90 miles per hour, low and slow, exactly as John envisioned it when they brought the plane to Saipan.
This was something I've always wanted to see and do, and we sort of had an opportunity and got it out here all ready to go. Then COVID hit. So we haven't had a whole lot of business for it, but it's slowly getting there, and it's such a wonderful experience.
Landing goes smooth, and soon the trio is back on the tarmac safely. Nick does a Dukes of Hazzard exit from the plane, and time for some parting thoughts. You lose some hair, Doc?
I did. I went up with a full head of hair, just like our pilot, and I came back looking like this. That was awesome. It's just incredible being up there. And
What was your favorite part of the loop, the island loop?
just past wireless, we did some kind of loops, and not a flip loop, but kind of winding up and down a little bit. It was pretty cool.
It was amazing. It was so cool. It was prettier. It always looked so green. And then we got to do just a few little things, you know, that kind of get your heart going up a little bit. So it was wonderful. Nick's a great pilot. The plane is awesome. We had so much fun.
From the Saipan Airport, Chris Nelson for the Channel 2 News.